All right, here we go. Does it say live on your end, Taylor?
Yes, it's live.
All right, perfect. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Cory with the Meals team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm here with Taylor Vannoy. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Glad to hear it. So today we're going to talk about some market activity that we saw in December of 2021. We're going to talk about the fourth quarter as well, just all across North Texas. Some of our local markets we're going to take a little bit more of a deep dive into. So Taylor is going to kick us off. And Taylor, talk about what we saw, just median sales price all across North Texas and some of these, these 5 counties that we like to focus on whenever we're talking about what the market's doing.
Yes. Okay. So as you can see up here, most of these are counties in North Texas area, some areas that we cover, but you can see the difference from December 2020 to December 2021 and the percentage difference. All counties, for the most part, excluding Cook County, have increased in sales price for an average of 21.59%, which is a huge jump. So you can see pretty steadily that prices have increased and they continue to increase. So Cook County, you can see, is a little bit different. They actually decreased 12%, but for the most part, the median average has increased pretty substantially over the past year.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that, and Taylor, we were talking about this just before we got on the call, was people always are saying, we want to wait and see what the market's doing, and we want to see if prices are going to come down. And so some people have talked about waiting on the sideline. What would you say to somebody who's thinking, well, I just want to wait and see what happens, especially with, when we're talking about here in Sherman, all the growth, all the companies that are moving this way? What would your advice be to somebody who's wanting to wait and see what happens?
Yeah, so I have a ton of clients who've said that over not just this past year, but the past 2 years. They kind of just want to wait it out and wait for the market to cool off, because it is so competitive and it can be very frustrating when you're putting in multiple offers and, especially as a first-time home buyer, you're not winning out on anything. So my advice is, if you look at the stats and the facts of the past 2 years, it has not slowed down, and we don't really see a slowdown in the near immediate future anytime soon. You can see over the past year, it's steadily increased over 20%. Also with the rumors of interest rates rising, and we've seen them rise a little bit already, but if they continue to rise, you may get to a point where you price yourself out of the market, and you may get to a point where you truly can no longer afford to purchase a home, especially for first-time home buyers. So if you're someone who says, it's just so crazy, I want to take some time and wait for the market to cool off, the facts pretty much show us that it's not going to cool off. It hasn't cooled off the past 2 years. So we know it can be frustrating and difficult to continue to put in offers and try to compete in this competitive market. But the other side of that is, if you wait too long, you may not have that option at all.
Yeah. And one thing to think about, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, you're somebody who's looking to just build wealth in real estate. The longer you wait, if you buy a house now, and we're expected this upcoming year to see another 15 to 20% appreciation based on the growth and just what a lot of economists are saying, that's wealth that you could be building whenever you go ahead and buy that asset. And that's not to say just go buy anything. I mean, obviously you want to make sure it fits your needs, but as Taylor said, the longer you wait, the more you could price yourself out of the market. So we'll move on to this next one. And one of the big indicators, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about this slide, and then Taylor, you can jump in. One of the big indicators that we look at in terms of, is the market slowing down? Are prices going to be coming down? Is we look at months of inventory that are on the market. And right now, if you look all across North Texas, on average, you're looking at less than 1 month of inventory. Obviously, some of these counties to the north, Grayson, Cook, and Fannin, they have a little bit more inventory. But overall, that's still pretty slim when you consider a balanced market to be 6 months of inventory or more, to where that's what's considered a healthy market, where sellers are getting steady appreciation and they're seeing good value in their home, and buyers are still making strong offers, but they have options. So whenever we look at months of inventory and we look at the appreciation that we've seen in the past 2 years, for the people who are saying, well, we're just going to wait and see what happens, this right here is a good indication of what's going to continue to happen here in this North Texas real estate market. You're just going to, the longer you wait, interest rates are going up. prices are going up, and you could ultimately price yourself out of the market. So we just want to kind of bring that insight to anybody who is out there thinking of buying. And also, if you're in a position where you need to sell, it's a great time to capitalize on that as well. So Taylor, is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, you can see 2 months on inventory and then the previous month. So even from the previous month, we've declined, how many houses we have on the inventory and how quickly houses are moving. So it's not only a matter of prices raising and you may not being able to afford it, but we're slowly also still seeing less inventory. So if there's no inventory out there, it's kind of a double whammy if you wait it out, because we have less and less inventory and higher prices to meet that demand. So unfortunately, the problem is we just don't have enough inventory. And, the only solution to that is to build more inventory, which we have, lots of great builders in the area doing that. But we've just had so much growth in our area that, it is very hard to keep up with that demand.
Yes.
So things are just going to continue to get more expensive and less inventory. So just reiterating that, if you're someone who says, I just want to wait for the market to cool off, we don't see that happening anytime soon. And, you don't want to miss your chance of having the option to even be able to buy or purchase a house at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then let's take a little bit of a deep dive into this Sherman housing report. And Taylor, you can kind of take the reins on this one and just kind of tell us what we saw. And this is once again in the fourth quarter of 2021, kind of how we ended the year overall, just in Sherman.
Yeah, so the median sales price did raise 10% or 10.3%. Active listings, again, down almost 30%. So that's a huge hit in active listings that we have. But as you can see, still, while there's lower homes on the market or inventory on the market, we've still been up almost 7% in closed sales. So the listings coming down and the sold units going up, they're moving in different directions, which aren't, helping that issue any, obviously. But overall, you can see, especially in the fourth quarter, that things have just constantly just still been moving at a very fast pace, and we're still in a very competitive market. Days on market total were 58, which was 33 days less than the fourth quarter in the year before. Months on inventory, 1.2, so just right a little over a month of inventory. So overall, things just moving very quickly, and as you can see, median sales price going up as well.
Yep, absolutely. Same thing in Denison. 25% increase in the median sales price in the fourth quarter. Active, and this is whenever compared to 2020 fourth quarter. Active listings down 17.2%, and closed sales down a little bit. And some of these, like if you see closed sales down or closed sales up, a lot of that has to do with active inventory or available inventory. So if you see that closed sales are down, that doesn't necessarily mean that the market's slowing down. It means that there's not near as much to choose from as that there should be to kind of get back to that balanced market that we always talk about. Average days on market 55, which is 18 days less than in Q4 of 2020, and then of course 1.3 months of inventory. So the recurring theme that we're seeing is just very limited inventory, and prices are continuing to go up.
So jumping over to how the median sales price raised 33.2%. Active listings were flat compared to Q4 of 20. I guess that would be 2022, not 2021. And then total days on market, 81, and months of inventory right at 1%. So the difference in how too is you'll see with a lot of these smaller towns as well, like Sherman and Denison are a little bit bigger and have, larger populations and larger inventory. How is just kind of one of those small towns that doesn't have a ton of inventory in the first place. And then you add in, what we've seen the past 2 years, and it just skyrockets that, down that we don't have any inventory at all. So when you mention, closed sales being down, it doesn't necessarily mean that, homes aren't still selling. It just kind of reflects that inventory loss.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, especially with how in this next slide, we're going to talk about Van Alstyne. I want you to really pay attention to the 33.2% increase in the median sales price. And then whenever you get to Van Alstyne, look at this number, 48.4% increase in median sales price when compared to 2020. So that's a huge number. And this is something that we've been seeing, everything kind of stems from the DFW Metroplex and it pushes out to our market. So we're, a few years ago, we were talking about how big or how much Anna and Melissa, how much their median sales price has gone up, and how we were starting to see that get higher and higher. And now we're seeing it into Van Alstyne, and of course, in the last slide you saw in Howe, just huge increases in the median sales price. And you've got to think about that. If you own a $200,000 home in Sherman and you have a 20% increase in value, your net worth just increased $40,000. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about whenever we say, median sales prices are going up, and it's all stemming from that DFW area. We're seeing more and more people who are moving from out of state. They're moving from the DFW area up here to Sherman, and they're ultimately looking for more affordable homes. They're looking for more space, and they're really just looking for anything that they can buy in their price range. So we have a kind of a combination of local buyers, out-of-state buyers, and buyers in the Metroplex that are looking to move this way, and that's why we're seeing such a huge increase in sales price coming up, really up the Highway 75 corridor. I think this is a typo, 262.5% increase in inventory. There's no way that that's accurate. I think it's 26.2 or 26.5, I believe, is what that should be. So we apologize about that. But closed sales also down just a little bit, 2.6 months of inventory, which is compared to Q4, just 0.8 months of inventory. And I think a lot of that is attributed to there's a lot of new builders. There's a lot more development and buildable lots in the Van Alstyne area, which gets that inventory level up a little bit. And that's something we're starting to see in the Sherman area too. There are thousands of lots being developed currently. A lot of builders and developers going through planning and zoning to try and help alleviate the shortage of inventory. But really, that's kind of just that's what we've got going on here in North Texas. Taylor, do you have any closing thoughts or closing statements or advice? What would you say to somebody right now if they're looking to buy, or if somebody who needs to sell their house and buy, and kind of what would you say to them?
I'd say buckle up, get all your finances straight, have everything ready to go. Get with a local trusted realtor, preferably one of us or someone on our team, and get ready to start looking. Don't get discouraged, because it is very frustrating to put in offer after offer and get denied every time, but it is the nature of real estate right now. So get in, get focused, and stick it out, because eventually something is going to work out for you, whatever's meant to be. So like I said, it could be very frustrating, but if you wait it out, you're going to be very frustrated in another year or two when we continue to increase in sales price and you're just at a point where you can no longer compete at all. So my advice would just be stick it out and work with someone who knows the market, knows the area, that you can trust, and get ready for a ride.
Absolutely. And I think that's great advice. I mean, especially you've got to start and make sure that your finances are ready to go. If you don't have that ready to go and the house that you love comes up on the market, by the time you get a pre-approval letter, somebody else has already come in and made an offer. So that's great advice. And if you're looking to sell your house and you need to buy a new one, don't just go out looking for houses. You want to have a very strategic plan. That's something that Taylor and I are both really great at, is sitting down with a buyer who needs to get the equity out of their current home to buy their new house, and really walking them through the process, making we have a strategy on getting what they actually want, getting their home sold in a timely manner to make sure that that contingency is taken care of, and ultimately making sure that they're not homeless, because that's, nobody wants to be homeless, and nobody wants to have to settle on the house that they're looking for. So you definitely want to have a strategy around that. That's something that Taylor and I are experts at. That's what we do day in and day out. So if you're in that position, be sure and reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't have anything else. I just wanted to share this. Taylor and I wanted to kind of bring y'all some information on what's going on in the market. So thank y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to Taylor. We'd be happy to help y'all. And We hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. And